Napoleon Hill, author of Think and Grow Rich, translated Proverbs into the language of results. He didn't wear a robe or speak in parables. He spoke of goals, persistent action, and thought control. But what few know is that all of this is rooted in Proverbs. Imagine with me, what if I told you there is a pattern to attract wealth, inner power and clarity of purpose, and that this pattern was already revealed by a man named Solomon, considered the wisest and richest in history? What if I showed you that the self-discipline you lack, the direction you seek, and the strength to overcome yourself are written there, verse by verse? You no longer need to chase magic formulas. The key has always been there. It was just poorly explained and poorly interpreted. My role here is to show you what no one has ever shown you, because Proverbs was actually written for leaders, for those who want to master themselves and govern their lives with wisdom. Pay attention, because this could be the turning point of your life. And it all begins now with a phrase that may sound simple, but carries the seed of all transformation. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, Proverbs 1:7. But what is truly fearing God? Is it living in panic? No, it is having reverence for a higher order. It is obeying the invisible principles that govern the universe. It is aligning your mind with the code of truth. And guess what? Napoleon Hill called this infinite intelligence. When you act with discipline, with practical faith, with ethics and direction, you are fearing the Lord, you are activating wisdom. And where there is wisdom, there is prosperity. Now pay attention with all the focus you have, because this part is for those who are tired of starting and stopping, tired of promising and not delivering, tired of desiring and not achieving. Proverbs 25:28 says the following: "Like a city whose walls are broken through is a person who lacks self-control." This isn't just a beautiful metaphor, it's a warning. It's as if God was saying, if you don't master yourself, anything can destroy you. A comment shakes you, a criticism demotivates you, a temptation brings you down. Now think with me. Would you build an empire on ground full of cracks? Of course not. So why do you want to build wealth with an undisciplined mind? Napoleon Hill was direct. Before conquering the world, learn to conquer your own mind. And that is exactly what Solomon shouted throughout the entire book of Proverbs. Wealth doesn't start with money. It starts with internal governance. And this governance doesn't come from motivation. It comes from habit. You don't need to wake up inspired every day. You need to be greater than your desires. Proverbs 6:8 says, "Go to the ant, you sluggard. Consider its ways and be wise. It has no commander, no overseer or ruler, yet it stores its provisions in summer and gathers its food at harvest." This is the noblest form of discipline, acting even when no one is watching, even when no one is demanding it, even when the reward seems far away. Do you know what this teaches? That success has no audience. The true builders of wealth do their work in silence, guided by an internal code, while the lazy wait for orders and complain about life. Hill called this personal initiative and persistence. The Bible calls it wisdom and the fear of the Lord. But in the end, the result is the same. The world bows before those who master themselves. Now imagine what would change in your life if you mastered your impulses for just 30 days, if you silenced the voice of procrastination, silenced laziness, and made your soul obey your mission. Imagine this small change can generate a harvest you haven't even dreamed of yet. And it all starts with a simple decision, to be greater than your immediate desires. Now imagine with me, you are at high sea, surrounded by fog, without a compass, without a map, without direction. This is exactly how those who do not know Proverbs live, because wealth without direction is waste, strength without direction is destruction, and dreams without direction turn into frustration. Proverbs 3:6 says, "In all your ways submit to him, and he will make your path straight." This is more than a beautiful phrase. It is a spiritual and mental mechanism. Solomon is saying, if you don't know where you're going, any path will seem right until you discover. You've lost years of your life walking in circles. And here is what Napoleon Hill discovered in his analysis of the richest men in history. All of them, without exception, had one thing in common: absolute clarity of purpose. They knew exactly what they wanted, where they were going, and what they needed to sacrifice to get there. Hill called this a definite purpose. Solomon called this the path of the righteous. And here is the hard part. If you don't firmly decide what you want from life, life will decide for you. And usually, it decides through pain, scarcity, and regret. Proverbs 16:3 says, "Commit to the Lord whatever you do, and he will establish your plans." This doesn't mean praying and waiting. It means aligning your plan with His plan. It means acting with clarity, truth, and courage. Because a plan without action is just an intention, and intention does not change destiny. The only thing that changes destiny is a decision that hurts, a decision that costs, a decision that tears you away from comfort. Now stop and look at your life. Where is direction lacking? Where have you been vague, soft, or indecisive? Because as long as you don't firmly decide what you want from life, you will be controlled by any distraction, any emotion, any criticism, any vice. The world belongs to those who are clear. God guides those who are willing to walk, and the universe bows before those who have purpose with faith, action, and discipline. If you want to change your life, don't start by praying for a miracle. Start by going, and then don't look back. Now pay close attention, because what I am going to reveal to you here can save you from years of pain, loss, and silent failure. Proverbs is not just a book for learning. It is a book for protection. Solomon didn't plead for wisdom for no reason. He knew that wisdom is a shield. Wisdom is armor. Wisdom is what separates the man who builds from the man who destroys everything he touches. Proverbs 4:7 says, "Wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore get wisdom, and in all you're getting, get understanding." This means wisdom is worth more than gold, because with wisdom, you can rebuild everything you lost. But without it, you can lose everything you built. Now listen. Napoleon Hill discovered that most people go broke not from a lack of opportunity, but from a lack of vision. They get involved with the wrong people, make impulsive decisions, spend before thinking, trust before observing, and react before reflecting. All of this comes from the absence of a trained mind. When the Bible says the fool acts with haste and reaps ruin, it is talking about me, you, and every human being who lives without awareness. Wisdom is exactly that. Expanded awareness. It is seeing where the world only sees the obvious. It is knowing when to speak, when to be silent, when to act, and when to wait. It is sensing the trap before stepping into it. It is choosing your relationships with criteria. It is recognizing that you don't put new wine into old wineskins. And do you know what that means in practice? If you want a new life, you need a new mindset. Proverbs 13:20 says, "Walk with the wise and become wise, for a companion of fools suffers harm." The question now is, who are you walking with? Who has a voice in your life? Who is influencing your decisions? Because wisdom is also knowing how to select what enters your mind, your ears, and your heart. Napoleon Hill called this the mental environment and stated that to prosper, you must protect your inner world with the same intensity you protect your house from a thief. Think about it. Perhaps what is holding you back today isn't the world, but the people you've allowed into your world. Wisdom is the firewall of your soul. If you don't have it, you will repeat the same pains with different faces. You will fail in the same places with different excuses, thinking it's bad luck when in fact, it is just ignorance disguised as misfortune. Wisdom shields you. Wisdom gives you vision. And it starts when you choose to stop acting on autopilot and start thinking like a king, like a builder, like someone who knows where they want to go. Now pay close attention, because this part isn't about religion. It's about construction. Proverbs 18:21 declares something most people ignore. The tongue has the power of life and death, and those who love it will eat its fruit. This isn't symbolic, it's literal. Your mouth is a printer of the invisible. What you say has the force of programming. And Napoleon Hill confirms, whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. Now understand what this means. Every thought you tolerate, every word you repeat, every phrase you speak about yourself is silently shaping your destiny. When you say, "I am unlucky," you are writing the sentence of your future with your mouth. When you say, "That's just the way I am," you are signing a contract with your own limitation. When you think, "This isn't for me," you are closing doors before even trying. And that is why Proverbs is so clear, so direct, and so profound, because it isn't just concerned with what you do, but with what you think and say before you do it. Proverbs 23:7 says, "For as he thinks in his heart, so is he." Hill called this auto-suggestion, the conscious and daily use of thoughts to shape behavior, belief, and action. What Proverbs was already saying for centuries, Hill translated into a method. Now imagine the strength of that. Imagine waking up every day and planting phrases like seeds in your mind. I am disciplined. I have focus. I am guided by wisdom. Nothing external controls me. These words, repeated with faith and aligned with action, reprogram your subconscious. You stop acting on impulse. You stop sabotaging yourself. You stop repeating the patterns you inherited from a childhood of scarcity and fear. You start acting as someone who already is before even having. Hill taught this firmly: speak, think, and act as if you already were. And Proverbs confirms the word has the power of life or death. Which one are you feeding? Your mouth can be your liberation or your prison. Your mind can be your trampoline or your grave. The choice is yours, and it starts now, because what you say today may become your address tomorrow. Now imagine this: two people plant seeds. One takes care of them every day, waters them, protects them from pests, pulls the weeds, and works with patience. The other plants and waits for a miracle, folds their arms and complains about the sun, the rain, and the weather. Both planted, but only one will harvest. This is the difference between the diligent and the lazy. And Proverbs is pitiless with this difference. Proverbs 10:4 says, "Lazy hands make for poverty, but diligent hands bring wealth." It isn't chance. It isn't luck. It is diligence. And what is diligence? It is constant effort, well-directed and disciplined. It is doing it even when you don't feel like it. It is repeating it even when no one recognizes it. It is persisting even when nothing seems to happen. Napoleon Hill wrote about this in another language. He called it controlled effort, the ability to maintain focus and action for long periods, even without immediate reward. And Hill went even deeper. He said, the universe tests you with silence before releasing the prize, and that most people fail not from a lack of ability, but from giving up too soon. Proverbs reinforces this when it says, the plans of the diligent lead to profit as surely as haste leads to poverty. Haste, in the biblical context, isn't just someone in a hurry with the clock, but someone with a hurried soul, someone who cannot endure the process, who wants the fruit without caring for the root, who wants the stage without going through the desert. Now think about yourself. Where have you been constant? Where have you been shallow? Are you one of those who starts excited and stops at the first difficulty? Or one of those who walks even in silence, even in pain, even when the ground seems dry? The Bible makes it clear God honors the faithful worker. Hill confirms, success belongs to those who don't stop, because while most wait for motivation, the diligent live by purpose. And purpose is greater than tiredness, greater than laziness, greater than fear. Now look with sincerity. Where is your harvest failing? Perhaps it's not the soil. Perhaps it's your discipline. Because even faith needs works. Even prayer needs movement. And as Proverbs reveals, the hand that works with excellence will be placed before kings. Life will put you in high places not for what you ask, but for what you persist in building with effort, focus, and wisdom. Now pay close attention, because this is the part that separates the builders from the hoarders, the truly rich from those who only look rich. Proverbs 10:22 says, the blessing of the Lord brings wealth, without painful toil for it. This is profound because it says there is a wealth that comes with peace, purpose, and meaning, and there is another that comes with anguish, rushing, and the fear of losing everything. One comes from blessing, the other comes from haste. Napoleon Hill also warned about this. He studied millionaires who achieved fortune only for money and ended up emotionally miserable, alone and destroyed inside, because wealth without direction, without wisdom, and without purpose is like fire outside the fireplace. Instead of warming, it destroys. Now think with me, what is wealth to you? A house, a car, status? Or is it peace when you lie down? A soul in balance, time with those you love, the freedom to say no to what hurts you and yes to what brings you closer to God. Proverbs is very clear. True wealth starts from within. Proverbs 8:18 says, with me are riches and honor, enduring wealth and prosperity. Who is speaking here is wisdom herself. She is saying that true wealth is not fleeting, nor illusory, nor the fruit of cheating. It is solid, it is clean, it is just. Napoleon Hill described this with another expression. Durable wealth is that built with purpose and maintained with integrity. Now look at your life and be honest. What have you been building? Something that lasts or something that disappears when the storm comes? Because there are riches that time erases, but there are also those that time respects. And those you build with faith, work, and principles. Proverbs 11:28 says, whoever trusts in his riches will fall, but the righteous will thrive like a green leaf. This is God saying money may run out, but the righteous flourish again. And this is what you need to understand once and for all. Wealth is not just what is in the bank. It is what is in the soul. It is what no one can steal. It is what you carry even when everything disappears. Hill said that true wealth begins with the right mind. And Proverbs confirms that the greatest treasure is wisdom, integrity, vision, and peace. Now the choice is before you. Continue chasing empty numbers, or build a life that is rich on the inside and indestructible on the outside. Because when the blessing comes from God, it brings with it what no money can buy, meaning peace and permanence. Now pay close attention, because the great turnaround of your life might be in a simple decision you haven't noticed yet. Proverbs 4:26 says, "Give careful thought to the paths for your feet, and be steadfast in all your ways." This isn't just a recommendation to be careful. It's a command to be strategic, to think of every step as if it were the foundation of an empire. Life isn't just made of big events, but of thousands of small, silent choices you make every day. Getting up or sleeping more, speaking with faith or complaining, investing or spending, learning or settling. Napoleon Hill also taught that success is directly linked to the quality of your daily decisions. He said, "You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, and the result of your daily choices." Now imagine with me, if you continue choosing ease, immediacy, distraction, and procrastination, you are signing a contract for failure. If you continue choosing strength, discipline, the search for knowledge, and the courage to face fear, you are moving closer to success every day. Proverbs 21:5 affirms, "The plans of the diligent lead to profit as surely as haste leads to poverty." In other words, choosing the right path may require patience and persistence, not shortcuts and impulsive decisions. Every choice you make is a brick that builds your life or tears down your dreams. And here is the secret few understand. It's not about never making a mistake, but about knowing how to get up and correct the route. It's about not letting one false step define your entire destiny. Now look back and ask yourself, what choices have you been making daily? Are they taking you closer to the life you desire or farther from it? It is time to take total responsibility for this, because Proverbs and Napoleon Hill agree on one thing. You are the only one responsible for your journey, and the power to change is in your hands at every dawn. Imagine that today is the first day of the rest of your life. What will you choose? Choose with wisdom. Choose with purpose. Choose to win. Now pay close attention, because this might be the missing key on your path to greatness. Proverbs 11:2 says, "When pride comes, then comes disgrace. But with humility comes wisdom." This is a powerful warning for those who think they know everything, or that they have already conquered enough. Real success, the kind that lasts, is not born of arrogance, but of the profound humility of recognizing that one never knows everything. Napoleon Hill also taught that the true winner is the one who is always learning, who embraces the mistake as a master, and who grows with every experience, good or bad. He said, "A mind that is stretched by a new idea never returns to its original dimensions." Now imagine with me, while many stop at the first obstacle, the wise person sees there an opportunity to grow, to refine their strategy to get stronger. And it is this posture that transforms a temporary winner into a lifelong champion. Proverbs 9:9 affirms, "Instruct the wise and they will be wiser still. Teach the righteous and they will add to their learning." This means that learning has no end, and that the humility to receive teaching is what separates those who reach the top from those who fall along the way. And here is the truth. If you want true wealth, lasting success, and positive influence, you need to cultivate this humility every day. You need to be willing to listen, to adjust, to change. Because arrogance closes doors, creates enemies, and paralyzes growth. But humility opens doors, creates alliances, and multiplies opportunities. So if you still think you know everything, prepare for a surprise. The greatest secret of the millionaires who studied Napoleon Hill and applied Proverbs is that they never stop studying, never stop reinventing themselves, never stop improving. They know that the road to wealth and fulfillment has no finish line. It only has curves and constant learning. And are you ready for this endless journey? Because the next level of your life depends on it. Now pay close attention, because what you have heard so far will be for nothing if you do not act. Proverbs 3:5-6 guides us. "Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to him, and he will make your path straight." This means that faith without action is just empty hope. You need to trust, yes, but also act with discipline, focus, and determination. Napoleon Hill made it clear that positive thinking only brings results when accompanied by persistent and intelligent action. He said, "The starting point of all achievement is desire. Desire without movement is fantasy." Now imagine with me, you can have the best strategy, the greatest faith, the most perfect plan, But if you don't put your feet on the ground and act, nothing changes. The world does not wait for you. Time does not stop. Life happens in practice, in effort, in calculated risk. So make a commitment to yourself today and write this here in the comments. I decide to act. This is not just a phrase. It is a signal to your mind, a direct programming for your subconscious. When you write with your own hands, you activate another part of the brain. You leave the field of intention and enter the field of decision. Commenting is not just to help me. It is to help you fix this within you. So right now, I decide to act. And it doesn't stop there. Decide that you are going to change the direction of your story, that you are going to use the ancient wisdom of Proverbs along with the eternal teachings of Napoleon Hill to create a new reality. It doesn't matter where you are now. It doesn't matter how much you have failed before. What matters is what you do from this moment on. Start. Cultivate faith, but also cultivate the habit of daily work. Persistence, constant learning, and the humility to grow. True wealth is not luck. It is not chance. It is the result of conscious choices, active faith, and constant action. Now imagine yourself a year from now, living the life you've always dreamed of because you decided to act today. This is your turnaround. This is your story. And I am here to remind you that you can, you deserve it, and the best is yet to come. So comment down below, leave a like if this message spoke to you, and subscribe to the channel to continue receiving content that truly transforms. Success is for those who do not give up, and now it is your turn. If your mind is a garden, take care of what grows there. Pull out the weeds of doubt, water the seeds of hope, and wait with patience for the time of harvest. Because everything cultivated with faith flourishes, and everything planted with fear withers. So, look deep inside and ask, what have I been sowing in myself? Remember, you become what you think about every day. Want a better life? Start by changing what you repeat inside your mind. Want prosperity? Think abundance. Want peace? Think balance. Want love? Think of serving. Because those who plant greatness inevitably harvest purpose. And if this message spoke to you, it is because God is calling you to take care of your mind as the sacred soil of your life. Like this video now because it made you remember your inner power. Subscribe to the channel to continue learning to shape your reality through faith and a biblical mindset. And tell me in the comments with faith and conviction. From today on, I choose to plant thoughts of victory. Turn on the bell so you don't miss the next messages, because a transformed mind is the first step toward an extraordinary destiny.